presentations.
I got it.
Lynn, you're on top of that. Great.
Thank you.
And we all agree. Anybody objects, say something now. Thank you.
And I can't see all of you. I only now see 5 people on the screen. So I guess if there's questions, I can see Lynn.
Yeah.
If there's questions as we go along, I think there's ways to put something in a chat, or
Right.
I'll just wait for answers at the end.
Mhm.
So we have been working with the Alumni Association, I think, since 2016. We have, in the process of that, created a master plan. We have worked with Central High School, with the administration, the faculty, as well as the students, in order to understand the workings of the school, the needs and aspirations of them as well. We've also, there's a good number of people over at the school district who are involved in the overall planning of the project. And in fact, they helped lead the first phase of work, which you'll see in a moment, that has already been completed. Our design team, MGA Partners, we are leading the project, but we bring onto the team a whole series of specialists to help us realize the design and documentation of it, from landscape architects, civil engineers. We have a theater designer who is really one of the top national, if not international, theater designers working with us on the project. And we have acousticians and security consultants, very wide and broad team in order to realize this Performing Arts Center for Central High School. And another major player, a major party that we have on our team is Becker and Frondorf. They are the Alumni Association's owners representatives. So they are working directly with Chuck and Lynn and Tim to really help guide the project and maneuver it to make sure that we are able to bring the project to fruition. So they're really an important participant in the overall process. So where we are, we've been working on the project since 2016. We completed a master plan, and that master plan, which I'll show you a bit of in a second, really confirmed the overall vision of the project, that having a performing arts center would really free up space within the main building and make a big difference for Central High School. Coming out of that master plan, it also helped us realize that the development of the site of the landscape on Central's property was really in need of help and in need of repair. So much so that that really became a first phase 1 project that the school district generously took on to the tune of about $8 million. And that work just completed over the end of the summer and into the fall. So the picture that you're seeing down there in the middle is a completely reconstructed parking lot. There's a new entry and circulation path. And in fact, we were able to set it up so that we're able to have new tennis courts at some point in the far reaches of the property, which I know who's on this call is very interested in tennis courts. I'm going to pan down and find you.
Mike.
Mike. Right?
Yeah, we're moving on that. Thanks for bringing that up. We have almost $300,000 for that, and that project's we're hopeful to get a little bit more. And Mr. McKenna's been working really hard with me to try to make that a reality. We're gonna hopefully move while we're virtual on this process, because I just think it's a great time to be able to hopefully build, and the winter's not too cold. We have a quote, and you know, we'll keep you updated on that process. But there's going to be 5 courts in a pavilion. It's going to be really a really nice asset to our school and the grounds.
Great, thank you. So our next piece of work is these kind of bars that you see over here. We're right now at the end of the design development phase of design and moving into construction documents. So this is a big phase for us at MGA Partners, because we have developed a design for the building, and tested it out with budgeting and estimating, and are moving into creating those real kind of detailed documentation that is needed in order to bid the project and be able to build it. So we're really pushing hard to make this entire time frame work. So we're excited about that. So a little bit about the master plan. This is a set of diagrams to help you understand a little bit about the position of the building and what doing a master plan tested out for us. So in the lower left-hand corner, you can see the main plan of Central High School. There's 3 wings to the building, the A, B, and C wing. After test fitting many different locations on the property, we confirmed that the north lawn was really the position that would be the best fit for having a new building in order to house a new performance venue, as well as all of the music education components for the project, for the school. And by doing so, it allowed us to move music out of the B wing up on the 3rd floor, bring them into a new building, and be able to envision how program spaces that are organized kind of by department, but were really fragmented, can be considered to be repositioned in a way that makes more sense. So by moving the music out of the building, we were able to then reposition English and language, position art up on the 4th floor, and be able to start planning to have a lower level that is all science and STEM based. So we even planned out a location that there could be a STEM suite. So the opportunity of building the new building allows new things to be able to happen on the back end within the main academic building. So we're really excited to be able to have that big vision for the project and to be able to kind of take it in pieces. So having completed the site work as phase 1, the new building as phase 2, there's then other phases down the line to be able to do some program reallocation and also modest renovation projects within the main building in the future. So the building sits on the site towards the north end of the property at the corner of Olney and Ogont. So really it is able to create a new presence for the school as you approach. Students still come to the building from the subway and walk down the street, or they get dropped off mostly by buses at this corner, and they'll be able to walk up on a new promenade, either up into a new student plaza into the main doors of the building, or they'll be able to come across and into a secondary set of doors. And that's really important for how the school currently operates. You can see in this plan the new parking lot and drop-off loops. So this has all been installed. You can drive around the edge of the loop and have a new drop-off apron right at the Performing Arts Center. So when the building is used for events, for gatherings, people can be dropped off right at the front door to come in and then can park up on the hill. We've done regrading work on the hill, so there's a whole new handicap accessible parking area with a ramp that brings people down and into the property. And we're making the front entry door of the building handicap accessible well. So all of the new building and access into the existing main building will all now be handicap accessible. So we're really excited to be able to achieve that as part of the project as well. So this is a view from that corner of Olney and Ogont. And you can see that one of the main things that we're trying to do with the building is to maintain a view of the existing main entry of the building. We think that that's really important from a historic perspective of the school. The main building is a school that is primarily a brick masonry building with limestone trim. And we're looking to develop a new building that really kind of flips that in the reverse, where the brick becomes the center volume of the theater, which is what you're seeing here, but we're allowing the exterior portion of the building to really open up, have more transparency. So rather than being a building that feels very cloistered and enclosed, we want it to feel very open and engaging. And in particular, we think that's really important for the performing arts. So in this image, this main area here, that is the performance lobby for the building. So when the building is used for events, the lights are all on, it'll really have this glow and this place of a destination as you approach the school. And this lobby wraps around the edge of the building. So it allows for receptions, intermission to spill out onto this student plaza, but also onto a plaza that is that drop-off kind of main entry plaza. One of the other really important features of the project is this bridge connection. So Central High School has an operation plan that allows students to enter into the main building. They check in every day, and that still happens within the main building. So students every day will come in through these main doors, check in, and then if you're coming in for a morning rehearsal or you're coming to the building for a class throughout the day, you're really coming across this bridge that is connecting on the second floor of the building. So the whole planning of the new building is built around the idea of this second floor connection as being important. We turn and kind of wrap around. We now have, imagine that parking lot is behind us. So this is the new main performance entry to the building. So being able to be dropped off at this drop-off apron and gather in a plaza in front of the building. Go into this door here, have a box office and a lobby space that's ample to receive people before an event. The building has a large music rehearsal hall as well as ensemble room. And so you can see some of the windows here. All of those rehearsal rooms are on this side of the building, closer to the main building. So if you're coming over to the building from school, Tim keeps people on a tight schedule and they get 3 minutes between classes. So they're able to really come across and enter right into their classes and be very convenient that way. And then this is a view from above. So here is that parking lot area, the ramp that comes down from our accessible parking, and then being able to come across to under the bridge and have a new accessible entry into the main building. So the building is primarily focused on a performance hall, and that's what you see here in the center. They're typically larger volume spaces for the acoustics, and that's what you see in the center. The lobby is wrapping around the front, and then the rehearsal rooms are back on this back side. So if we look at the floor plan just quickly, this is the first floor of the building. So here's the entry off of the drop-off loop, a large lobby that wraps around and connects to the entry that is off the student-oriented plaza. In the lobby, there is a gallery space. Central has an IB art program, so students put on exhibitions every year in order to qualify for their graduation, and that exhibition can happen here as part of the performance event. People can come and see their art exhibitions, as well as along this corridor, we'll have a display space as well. There's 2 entries into the performance hall, and the room is one large room. Right here, we're showing it in an orchestral performance layout. You'll see a few more layouts as we move through. And the building on the ground floor has a back of house area. So, you know, this to the right is all considered front of house. That's where the public, patrons, parents would come for an event. There's elevator, stair, and toilet rooms that would be used by the public for during an events. And then there's a set of doors and a series of back of house spaces. Those are the scene shops. So right now, Central build scenery on the stage of the auditorium. And takes it out of commission while the scenery needs to be constructed. And here we have a scene shop where they can load in materials, build scenery, and bring it directly onto the stage area. And that's really important because Central puts on a number of musical theater productions every year. So in addition to doing orchestral type performances or choir performances, they do musical theater and traditional theater as well. There's also a series of dressing rooms and prop storage and the like in the back corridor area on the first floor. There's at the end of this gallery corridor is a public stair, and that stair takes you up to the second floor of the building, and it lands right at the bridge that connects to the main building. So this diagonal that you see coming off of the page here is for the connection into the main building, that bridge. So when we're on the second floor of the building, there are 3 primary academic spaces. The first one is a music technology classroom. This is a room that has computers and keyboards, and students can do music composition in this room. The next room is this large music rehearsal room. And the idea here is that this room is used for a series of different orchestral rehearsals, as well as classes throughout the day. And then lastly, up at the top of the floor, number 5 is an ensemble studio that will also be capable of housing other classes like music history classes and things like that within this room. You see a lot of these like little boxes here. That's all music instrument storage, music lockers, and the like for students. So when they come in for a rehearsal in the morning, if they bring an instrument to school, they can lock them up and then be able to have them available for their rehearsals. And then the volume of the performance hall you see presenting itself on the second floor. We have, you'll see in a moment, there's a set of tiers. There's a first tier and a second tier, as well as a control room that is accessed off of that second floor level. And I don't want to forget this grouping of rooms down here at the bottom. We have 2 music offices where the faculty are able to have offices as well as do some lessons. And then we have 4 music practice rooms on that hallway as well. So that allows for folks to have music lessons as well as to do small rehearsals and one-on-one work. So just moving through, I wanted to show you a couple of images on the inside of the building to get a sense of where things are heading. As a building that is for the performing arts, it really needs to perform acoustically. So there's a lot of technical requirements for the room. We want the sound of the main performance hall to be separated from the music rehearsal rooms, the back of house, scene shop. So the wrapper walls of the room are masonry, and then we have adjustable acoustics within the center of the room, which you see in this diagram, will take the form of acoustic drapery. So when the room is used for an orchestral performance, the likelihood is that those drapery will be stowed over here in the back of the room. But when we use the room for a jazz ensemble that is mic'd and produces, you know, a lot more sound energy, we want to have those drapery deployed and be able to absorb some of the sound better. And then we have a series of panels that wrap the interior of the room that also do work acoustically. Those are intended to allow the room to reflect sound in one position, absorb sound, and handle it in different ways in the opposite side of the room. And lastly, we are looking at a room that is very flexible. I think that is probably one of the most important things for schools, to develop a room that can be used for many different types of performances and many different types of functions. And so we've been developing a seating approach that really allows that to happen. And I'll show you how that works. So a couple of initial views. This is a view from the first tier of the room, where the main performance space, if the room is set up for an orchestral performance, would be on the far end here, with an orchestra section of seating and a parterre in the back. And then we have 2 tiers of seating that kind of wrap the side of the room and envelop the room. And one of the reasons why we do that is so that the room has a sense of intimacy. So imagine, you know, faces all up here looking down and engaging with the audience. And it's also a very important thing for young performers as they're learning to perform, is to engage with the audience and to be able to do that in a very intimate setting, so that when their voices are a little bit more in the early stages of their development, that they're able to gain the confidence of performance. And so this room is really all designed around a student performer being able to develop themselves. Here's a view from the stage area looking towards the back of the room. There's a control room in the back of the room, so we can do control of sound, of video. They can do recordings of performances from this room. So we're really looking at the full capabilities. And then you see up top in the image, there's a series of catwalks. There's 5 catwalks. And this is important. You can see the set of stairs that goes up and accesses them. Central has a student body that's very engaged in not only being performers, but also in putting on the production. And that's a big piece of their academic model for the performing arts. So there's kids that run the sound show, the light show, and they would be up operating and setting up the productions from these catwalks. So we've developed a design for operating the theater that is really student friendly and safe for them, as well as allowing them to learn how to work in a theater in a way that can be meaningful for them in their career moving forward. And then that is a view from the control room looking back. You can see a couple of openings, and I just want to touch base on these, in particular, the ones on the lower left here. We're planning a room because this is a room that during the day, we don't want it to feel closed off from the rest of the school, and we want it to be part of the life of the school. So these side openings open into that gallery corridor that look right out into the student plaza. So we're really excited that during the day you can have daylight coming into the room, and that you could have more of a free flow of students coming in and out of the room as they're getting ready for rehearsals and the like. So imagine also at an intermission, you could open up those doors, and then the audience members can really just flow right on out into the gallery space on the side of the room. And then I have a couple of slides just to show how the room can be used in different configurations. This is the one that we've been showing you. The image on the right, think of it like a bird's eye view, like you're up on the catwalks looking down into the room. So you see in this position, we have an orchestral performance setup and how the seating is arranged within our orchestra level seating pit and the telescopic seating in the back. If we try this next one, think of this as a theater in the round where we pull the seating in that orchestra pit. We lift the floor up to be now level, and you could set up a theatrical performance in the center and have an audience on the opposite side as well. In this situation, we've retracted all of the seating, and now you have one large open floor plate. And in that configuration, you could have a college fair, you could have clubs having an event where students are shopping for a different club to join. You could have a reception kind of event, you could have a dance. So we're really thinking that in this configuration, the school is really able to use the space that you're given as a performance space for all these different functions and uses. And that's the collection together. We looked at a couple of case studies, and just want to share a couple of these images to give you a sense of what the space can feel like when there's people in it. In particular, the lower two sets of images, these are at the Moses Brown School, and they have a very similar setup. In this configuration, they have one tier. We're doing two tiers, like the image on the upper side here. But you can see how in this one, when they retracted their center seating platforms, which is kind of these openings in the floor here that are filled in this view, you can bring a performer all the way up and really engage with audience members. And we think that that's, there's a lot of benefit for Central. The image on the upper left will give you more of a sense of the volume. This is a room that's fit out with a lot of millwork panels. We're not imagining a room that is this rich in wood, but it'll give you a sense of the overall scale of the room, which is very similar. I think that's it. That was our last slide. Just to give you a sense of where things are heading for us, we're entering into the construction documentation phase. We're also really entering into a heavy approval process phase where we've submitted the project to Philadelphia's Department of Licenses and Inspections for preliminary plan approval. We're submitting it to the State Historic Board for review because the main building is on the historic registrar. We need their approval. And all of those kinds of things lead up to trying to have the project ready to be bid later in 2021, in the middle of the year. So I'll stop there and see if there's any questions.
Well, first I'd like to thank you for putting 4.5, 5 years worth of work in 20 minutes. Every other opportunity that we've had with MGA to give a presentation, we've given them practically an hour. So I have to thank Katie and both apologize to all of you who are seeing this for the first time because we went in warp speed. So we know we provided a lot of information in a quick time capsule, but we thought it was important to share with you because, like Chuck said earlier, the class reps are our best advocates and you get to talk to your classes. And we thought, because Rudy has these class rep meetings from time to time, that this would be an ideal opportunity just when we're finishing. You can imagine that this has been a number of different design phases as they've progressed through this the last few years. And now with going to getting approvals and finishing up the smaller design pieces, it's the best opportunity, especially being at the year end and knowing we're at the point where we need to come up with our funding to sweep. And this is the best opportunity that we have to reach out to the class reps. Katie, if you are, if you have anything else before I kind of show people how they can do this.
Do you want me to stop sharing my screen?
It's a lovely screen. It's totally fine. You can keep it
Okay.
there. So I just wanted to let you know that the first question that, first of all, it says Neil under my name. For those of you who I have not spoken with before, my name is Lynn Norton Robbins. I'm the Director of Development for the Alumni Association. And like Chuck and Rudy said earlier, we were all really kind of excited after Giving Tuesday this past Tuesday and having brought over 200 people to make gifts. It's kind of an unprecedented one day that I've seen over the last 4+ years here. So I'm giving the Alumni Association a lot of credit for having created that. But the first question that I ask alumni when I meet you, and if you've met me, you've heard me ask you this question, is Why is Central important to you? And alumni from, believe it or not, the 177th class to the 279th class have all given very similar answers, from the value of the education that being the finest they've ever received in life, to having the world's best teachers and making their lifelong friends there. The bottom line is that Central's extremely important to alumni. And that's why we'd like to ask you as the class reps to consider coordinating a class gift to this capital campaign. I think it would be the most meaningful way to proceed, because everyone can participate, and with a very feeling confident and feeling fulfilled that they've been part of a bigger project. They've made their mark on Central High School, regardless of what they give, because it's to a total class gift. And I know that Joe Field has come up with an equation that that works really well that I want to share with you. But the name of the campaign is called Leading the Way. So it's only fitting that alumni actually lead the way for this. There have been a number of classes already that have made their commitments. So you'll be in very fine company. Classes from the 182nd class, the 185th, the 192, 200. Actually, the 200th class was the first class to make a significant contribution to leading the way. The 212th, the 213th class, 222, 228, 229, 230. And I'm giving everybody the numbers of classes who have been making a class gift to make you see that a number of classes have chosen to do this because it's really easy. The 247, the 255, the 258, which I'll talk to you about in a minute, the 272, 273, thank you, Mike Harwitz, for leading them in that direction, and the 278th class, can believe that. So again, you're in good company should you decide to do this. And the best way to begin is with a goal. And what what we've talked about and wanted to suggest is that the equation that makes the most sense is, if it's possible for an alum to make a pledge, a multi-year pledge payable over a couple of years of $1,000. This way, the classes can reach your number goal. And that's just something to consider. The ideas to go about this, you may have known if you've already been familiar with our website, centralhighalumni.com. We just updated it not too long ago. So if you haven't been in the last week or two, I would encourage you to go to centralhighalumni.com and navigate around, because we show some opportunities there that you may not be familiar with. One is, again, multi-year pledges. You can do that. There's also opportunities for matching gifts from employers, places that we've received matching gifts from alumni who have put into their employers, like GlaxoSmithKline, JP Morgan, Merck, Benevity, there's just to name a few. Also, the 258th class mentioned this once in a class email from the class rep about the idea for recurring gifts. And our system at the Alumni Association allows for that, so that there's class members that don't even think about it anymore. They put in a $5 or $25 or $50 recurring monthly gift, and it happens automatic. And if you ask somebody for $300 a year, that sounds like a lot to consider, but if you break it down to $25 a month, it's a little bit more manageable. So we've had a lot of alumni taking the opportunity to do that. There's also opportunities like gifts of stock, planned gifts, estate gifts, gift annuities. Again, our website, Central High Alumni, has a whole planned giving page that you can navigate through and read about how to do that. This year, the CARES Act of 2020 also gives you an opportunity to have a special deduction. But like everything, I have to stress, you must reach out to your accounting professional to give you help manage that, because it's different for everyone. The point that we want to do at the Alumni Association is to create a focused and easy opportunity for each of you to do this. So we will work with you and your classes. We can provide you with quarterly reporting if you'd like us to set up that kind of a situation, and just let us know. We're open to taking questions. I guess, Katie, if you stop sharing your screen, maybe I can see a little better.
There we go.
Anybody's asking me questions. Oh, look at that.
Hi,
Marshall.
Lynn. Could I ask a quick question?
Say your name, yes?
Hi, I'm David Hildebrand.
Hi, David.
The class president from 258. I
Your
have to
class
get off
is
the
doing
call in about
amazing
10 minutes.
things.
Thank you. I have to get off the call in like 10 minutes, but I wanted to just get a couple quick answers from Katie. I'll probably be holding like a big Zoom call for my class before the end of the year to try and really stimulate our recurring monthly gifts so that we can make a contribution at our next reunion, which will be after because we just had one in 2019. So my first question is, if we give a gift by our next reunion, which will fall 1 year after the anticipated completion of the project, I mean, obviously the money will still be accepted, I'm sure, but how might that work? That might be a question more for Lynn.
Yeah, so we can work that out, because there's always going to be, because don't forget, this is phase 2 of a 3-phase project. So once the building is completed, there's always the STEM center and the renovations that we're doing to the main school building. So I'm sure this will be going on for quite some time.
God.
Okay. And then I was hoping, Katie, you could maybe just give me a capsule of like a few basic numbers. I took notes throughout the presentation, but so like essentially total square feet of the new facility, how many like capacity seating for the auditorium. Yeah, I mean, just sort of, can the facility, will the school, well, this might not be for you, but, you know, would the school rent out the facility for events outside the school?
It sounds like what we should do, because this is probably helpful for many, is to create like a fact sheet
Mhm.
that could be circulated. So the main hall can accommodate different quantities of people in different arrangements. We have about 400 seats within the main seating area, and then we can add in about 50 extra seats on the 2 tiers. But why don't we put that together in a kind of a 1-sheet fact summary for you?
Okay.
The other one, what was the other one that you
Like
just
square
mentioned?
feet of the.
Square feet. I think we're currently around 36,000 square feet.
Okay, and do you know what the square footage is of the main building, just to sort of have a relationship?
I used to know that. It's over 200,000.
380,000.
380,000.
Oh, okay. So we're looking at like, it's not that large relative to the.
Correct.
Oh, but it's also fewer floors because there's no basement and there's
The
no.
main building is a basement, floors 1, 2, and 3, plus there's a portion on the 4th floor.
Okay.
And then there's the gym, which is almost like a sunken area.
Oh. And then my only other question, and maybe this is for Lynn or Rudy, or is Mr. McKenna still on the call? in any case, what will happen to the original auditorium?
So the original auditorium houses, it's got 1,250 seats. So it will continue to have daily use, like
Okay.
for classes and for special presentations and what have you. So it will continue to get that daily use.
Those are all my questions. Thank you. I appreciate
you.
that.
Thanks for bringing that up. Mickey?
Mickey Grieblack from the 208. My questions are, if we get somebody to contribute, they write a check to Leading the Way.
They make a check to the AACHS, which stands for Associated Alumni of Central High School. And either a note with the check or in the memo that's Leading the Way.
Okay, and we mail it in to you.
Yes, the PO box for the Alumni Association, it's important to make note, especially now during the pandemic and school being closed. The Alumni Association has its own PO box. So it is PO Box 26580, Philadelphia 19141. But that is also on the website if you need it.
Okay, and I think I would like a video, a condensation of what Katie talked about, but lasting only 3 to 5 minutes, because for the Zoom calls for my class that we have, like David's, it would be very easy to show a 3-minute video, not a 20 or 30-minute video. If that were possible, and while it's going on, maybe I could give a summary of the facts in the fact sheet, then I could make a case.
Well, we can work on that, sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. David? You have to unmute.
I
Okay.
realize that. Thank you. David Smedley, 240. Good afternoon. I echo Mr. Greenblatt's comments. I think the brief video is a very good idea along with the fact sheet. I really do think that should be done. I want to go back to the presentation on the design just briefly. I didn't notice a great deal. I noticed that the signage for, announcing what it is was fairly bland, for want of a better way of putting it. I'm wondering if from a design perspective, there's a way to have the, a masthead on the second tier that announces Central High School in a more prominent way. Thank you.
So great question. We haven't really even started signage design for the project. And in fact, Central has a digital sign that is out on the property. And we've just started talking about how the digital sign should be positioned relative to the main building. We think that there probably also needs to be a sign that announces Central as you enter the parking lot area. And that would be something that we'd want to pursue as well. So really, signage needs to be considered holistically as part of the project.
Michael Siegel.
Somebody getting a call.
There you go.
I have to run momentarily, but I think one thing that would be enormously helpful if you could share it, probably you don't know it off the top of your head, is I imagine that there's a curve of once a class is 5 years out of school, 10 years, 15, 20, how much are they actually donating? Because if there's one thing that classes are, it's competitive. And I have no sense for whether 264, actually I have a pretty good sense that they're probably lagging, but I don't know by how much, because we're only 15 years out, just at that point where people actually might have some money. So if you could produce some sort of data on the best
Michael,
classes. Yeah.
Why don't, if I could ask you to send me an email with that, that would be great. And we can send that to you because we can come up with that information.
Fantastic.
Lynn,
Yeah.
Lynn, can I interrupt for a second? It's
Sure.
also not the, of course, the dollar amount is important, but participation is another aspect. and 263, wasn't it, that took it upon themselves to go above and beyond for Giving Tuesday, and they got a whole bunch of classmates to do it as well? Or was that 265, Lynn?
No, that was 263.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
263.
I'm in 263, so I'll take credit. That was us. We had people posting both in the alumni Facebook page and then also in our class Facebook page, really pushing. And they varied in size of donation from 25 to 263, but we had, I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head at this point.
8.
Was it 8?
So-
Yeah, 8 or 9. Not so, compared to the size of our class, not a whole lot, but just that push. I'm sure had we started pushing earlier and said, we're in the lead, let's get more people, we could have. Classes, you're right, Michael, classes are very competitive. And I think that using that as a way to push your class to give more money or just get more people to participate, right? If you have 3 people giving $100 or 10 people giving 25, the 10 giving 25 is better. Not quite, but
I get your drift.
I'm
Can I interject another thing?
Yeah.
Classes are very competitive with like the class like right before them or right after them, which has always stymied me over the years. But I just had an epiphany the other day. My kids go to in the Chamonix School District, and they have gym night, which is basically the A to L students versus the M to Z students. So we could have a competition like that, but that's pretty arbitrary. We could have a competition of the odd classes versus the even classes. So there's a whole bunch of opportunities out there. We just have to pursue them.
Rudy, I can tell you nothing will upset 264 more than that 263 is beating them. So
Right, but I'm saying it's
That's the
hard to
point.
keep metrics for 99 different classes, like
true.
264 is ahead right now, and then 3 months from now. But you get my drift. We need some healthy competition.
Right. So before I want Mike Horowitz to speak, but I do want to say that the idea is to be as inclusive as possible, because when you make a class gift, it doesn't matter who gives $500 or $5,000. It just goes all together. And it really gives the idea of inclusivity, that you really want as many people to part. The objective is to get as many class members as possible. And one thing that Joe Fields really stressed with me, and I forgot to say, and I want to mention before Mike Horowitz speaks to you, is that there's going to be permanent recognition that's not yet designed, but MGA is going to work with companies to design it. But there'll be a space in the lobby of the Performing Arts Center that provides permanent recognition. So whether it's, 251 or 258 or 263, you want to see that there. And regardless of what you did, you participated in that gift, and it's there for you to take your great grandchildren to see. Mike.
Thanks, Lynn. Hey guys, how's everybody? I know we're all here because we all love Central so deeply. And I've probably sold you a thing or two over the years. If I haven't, then I haven't done my job in a while. But I think that goes back to what we're talking about, is the competition. I've sponsored, I can't tell you how many classes, 270, 273, 4, 5, and 8. And David, I think my wife sponsors 279 and now 282. So we do a lot of these class challenges, and I think that's important. But at the end of the day, the classes matter, but Central matters. People say Philly, but at the end of the day, I say Central, and I also say good things happen at Central, right? So we're going to come up with a shirt with that. Good things happen at Central. The kids are involved. We want the kids. I sponsor the juniors. My wife sponsors the sophomores. I think if you guys have calls, like I know Ramon very well. I've worked with Ramon a lot. He's great. The current students can play a role in helping raise money in this process. I know Chuck's done an amazing amount of things with phone banking and really taking tremendous leadership of our association. I'm lucky to work with Chuck. I'm on the board. And I think $25 or $250 it doesn't matter. I mean, I do those Phillies nights for 25 and the Flyers for 50, and we sell them all out. I think and I agree with Rudy also. I think the class competitions are a must. I think that's got to happen. We do battle of the classes right now with the 4 current classes, and we're doing them virtually. So we're doing trivia. I know Jordan Connell's working on having a Quizzo night, right? And that would be another way to raise money where classes could get in and pay in to be part of the Quizzo. We're also going to be doing a virtual 5K, right? And that's something that's going to raise some money coming up. So there's a tremendous amount of opportunity to raise money. The signage that Katie talked about, 270 raised that. And that was the first class I sponsored. And they put that sign up in front of the building, and I get to program that from home. That's kind of cool. So I work with Mr. McKenna. He's like, put this up. Happy Turkey Day. Beat Northeast. We always love to beat Northeast. And I think we got to be, creative in terms of how we can, especially in the virtual world. I think there's an opportunity here right now. I know times are tough and it's difficult. We're going to get through it. Central students are resilient. I'm on here every day teaching, and everybody has their camera on. Everybody's energetic. And some of the seniors that have AP Gov with me, they can't wait to meet some of you guys, and they want to talk about ways to help raise money. They want to be partners in this. All right, because they're going to be alums in like 8
I want
months.
to
So
take the opportunity. Thanks so much, Mike. Joe Field is on the call. Joe, I'd love for you to share some words with everyone.
Yeah, yes. Am I on am I speaking? Or
I
on
can
the-
hear you.
You can. First of all, I'd like to express my profound admiration for all of you coming here today and for anything that you can do. I feel that I've got to add a little bit of realism to this discussion. The project is a $36 million project. To date, we have successfully raised $23 million. We need considerable amounts. The only way that this can really happen is if each of the people who can do it, and it seems to me that almost anybody who was graduated from Central can do it, if not and immediately, at least over a period of 2 or 3 years with a pledge, is to give $1,000. I really think that obviously I'd be happy for anything less than that, but to talk about 5, 10, 25, it's going to go nowhere. And in terms of classes, we already have 2 classes which have raised about $250,000 each, and that's what we sort of took as our goal. Now, let me say, not everybody in the class. If everybody in your classes gave $1,000, you'd be over the top. But realistically, I think that if the class participates, and there are going to be people who are going to say, well, heck, I can give 10, I can give 20, I can give 100. I mean, it's so far in the work that I've done, I've got 2 people to give $1 million, somebody to give $100,000, and it is possible. Not everybody will give at the same level, but it seems to me, and we did decide as a matter of policy that anyone who would give at least $1,000 would be recognized, and we can't go below that, or it's self-defeating. And that there are many, many wonderful projects that seats can be acquired as little as $2,500 or $2,500 or $5,000 or $10,000 for naming rights on seats. There are naming rights available on all sorts of things in a booklet that was already distributed. So some of your classmates are going to come up with more. Obviously, not everybody can, but I think that we really have to look at $1,000 as being the baseline, however we can get it. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
I have a quick question, Lynn.
Yes.
I have to get off the call. Has the school district committed any monies to the project other than the 8 million?
Yes, other than the 8 million, I know that they're being addressed right now. That's a very good possibility. They're working through some details to be able to do that. Mickey Greenblatt?
I have to leave the call. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Stan.
Okay, bye-bye.
Lynn, could you silence everybody else so we don't hear these phone calls? I just want to say something about Joe Field's comment. There's an 80-20 principle here. It's nice to get as many contributions as you can, but we move the needle only with the big gifts. It's good to get the other ones, and maybe we can get them in the habit of every year making $100 or whatever dollar donation. But we're going to make the goal of 36 million with 80% of the money coming from 20% of the gifts. So we have to give something to the people, as was mentioned earlier. And it could be, you give $1,000, you get a t-shirt. Hey, it's something. you could have 3 different T-shirts they pick so that they're, deciding, they have a hand in what they pick. And, but if they give enough money, they're going to get a personal tour from Lynn of the new facility when it's built. Or, if it's $1 million, we're going to have the principal take you on the tour. Yeah, I know we may bother him with 10 tours, but hey, we're over the 36 million if you get.
No, Tim has always been very, very willing to meet with people when they come. Every time a class comes, and there isn't anybody that gives a better tour of the building than Chuck Steinberg. I've learned a lot by just taking tours with him. But yes, you're absolutely right. We do, but
Yeah, I'm just saying that if we enlarge in our scope as to what we can give back to the donors, like a lot of attention, then as Joe said, we can do it. We just have to be a little imaginative, and we can send you emails giving you some of these ideas.
I would love that. Sure.
Hey, Lynn, quick question.
Yeah, Ramon
Yeah, just
and then Sandra. Mhm.
Joe and the naming opportunities. I'm looking at it now. That was actually one of my questions, if we had any. And this is really affordable, quite frankly, at least, even the balcony seats. But is this something do we have a limit? Is this like a one-time gift? By the way, sorry for everyone on the call. I'm a fundraiser, so this is like my day, bread and butter. Is there a limit to this one-time gift, or is it like can we
limit to what one-time gift?
Like the balcony seats for 2,500, for example? Can that be
Until they're all taken up? I think there's 50 balcony seats.
and everything right now is available? Obviously, maybe.
What's that?
Is everything available right now?
Of the balcony seats, I think 1 or 2 are gone, but yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
So
Karen.
Ramon just bought 48 of them. Is that right?
Maybe 30. Maybe 30. No.
I have somebody raising their hand that is muted. Sandra
Schneider.
Schneider. Okay. You're muted, but if you want to speak.
Okay.
There you go.
I'm not Sandra, I'm Dan Schneider.
Hi, Dan.
Like you, I had to share a spot because it's
I'm a good
regular
sharer.
Friday bridge for my wife. From the 207, and I'm filling in for Art Houseman, who was unable to attend today. I have a question for Katie.
Yeah.
While the function of the building looks just incredibly flexible, as you showed pictures, my eye just kept going back to the color of the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to take away everything else from the old building and even the aesthetics of the new building. How did we come up with yellow or mustard or whatever that color is as being the best thing to coordinate what is history and has existed for all of our memories?
Sure. Well, we, for the bridge, we're looking at, it's a metallic material, first of all. So I think the way it comes across in the image maybe is a little bit more yellowy, but the intention is that in the design of the building that we're incorporating many of Central's primary colors, almost as a branding approach. So you have the brick of the main building, which is a deep red. We're carrying that into the building. And we're also looking for a metallic material for the exterior that gets you a bit of that goldish hue that picks up the yellow from Central. So we see that as, yes, a relatively bold graphic move that is able to really engage the colors of the school.
Okay, I understand that. I think aesthetically, if you could combine crimson and gold, or maybe crimson toned down and going a bit better than the gold as it exists today.
Understood. Thank you for the comment.
That's great. So since we just have a few more minutes here, Rudy, did you have something to add?
DR asked a little bit earlier, Hildebrand, about the use of the building on the weekends, and that wasn't answered. It's actually a community type situation, much like the new gym. The
Well, I
building will
think
be
that-
blocked off and you can use it in the evenings and on the weekends for the community, not
I
just the
know
school
that
district.
those things are going to be considered. Once everything is finished, it is a school district building, and I know that they have different testing. It's been a testing site for a lot of civil service exams for the city, and I know that they've set up a lot of different. They've been called upon to host other things, so I don't know that this would be any different. I mean, I can't see that things wouldn't be handled in that way.
Right.
Part of what we have asked the school district for a sizable contribution to this building. And part of our discussion with them is that it will be available, A, to the community at large, and B, for other school district functions. Again, even though we're hoping to pay for a good portion of it, it will be a school district building, and someone asked whether we can charge a rental for it. When we redid the Spain Conference Center, which the alumni paid for it, and the school district started using it, we asked them for rent, and it was not a great conversation. So we're not going to be able to get any dollars out of the school district for use of the building, but we're hoping that they will contribute a sizable amount to the construction of it.
Look, part of the goal here was not only to make a nice new shiny toy, but to create the opportunity for Central to remain the top school, not only in Philadelphia, but Pennsylvania, and make it be a shining star so that Pennsylvania can show other states, look, this is what we've done. And we're doing this in a very unique way in that we're taking public and private dollars and connecting them together. This is a new model for public education across the country. And we're providing that, and you're helping to provide that. I think that's an important point to make when you're talking to people, that what's happening here is groundbreaking, not only for Central, but for education as a whole.
Can I just answer one of the questions that was posted? Kevin posted a question about plantings and trees, and many of our images don't show plantings and trees in them right now. And I just want to let everyone know, no worries. There are plenty of trees that are required for us, and we've been working with the school district as well as with the water department for stormwater management on the site. And all of the plantings, whether they be trees or ground cover, are all plantings that work for native plantings so that they're very sustainable and are able to sustain themselves on the site without specialized irrigation systems. So that is something that we're in the midst of.
So Chuck, if you don't have anything else to add, I will, the 1836 Society mask, yes. Mickey was talking about what we give to our donors. We have an 1836 Society, which are donors who give 1836 or more annually. And we've provided masks for them this year. We typically have a thank you event that we invite them all to. And since we haven't been able to do that this year, we were sending them masks in lieu of that for right now. But what I wanted to do is to first thank you everyone for being on the call. I look forward to hearing from you. Sarah and I would like to ask you one last time, if you can go into the chat and give me your name and class so that we know who was on the call. If you haven't already, I appreciate that because we're all working remotely. We're in different locations. So Sarah's taking notes for all of that, and we are recording this. So if anyone wants to be able to see part of it, we'll be able to make that available to you. And again, please go to the website if you have any questions. you're more than welcome to contact me. I'd love to hear from you. And I wish you all a really lovely weekend. And thanks so much for being here.
Thank you all for attending.
Thank you.
Yes, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care. Have a good day. Thanks, Rudy. Bye.
Bye,
Shante, nice seeing you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Love you. Okay, we will speak to you soon.